that better? Yes. Okay. Good evening. I'm convening this hearing at 6:05 p.m. on Wednesday, July the 9th, 2025. This hearing is being held at the Minneapolis Junior Senior High School, 602 Woodland Avenue, Minneapolis, Kansas, and virtually via Zoom video conferencing platform. My name is Dan Wells. The Secretary of the Department of Health and Environment, Ms. Janet Stanley, has appointed me to act as hearing officer and her representative to receive and consider public comments presented during this hearing. During this hearing, all microphones on Zoom will be muted except for the designated speaker. Additional KDHE staff are assisting during this hearing. This hearing is being recorded. I am requesting all cell phones be silenced. The link to observe this public hearing via Zoom is intended for the designated recipient only, pursuant to their request for reasonable accommodations to observe this hearing. Recording of this public hearing via such link, whether by artificial intelligence, audio, video, or any other means, is prohibited. This restriction is in place to ensure efficient and accurate documentation of persons participating in this hearing for any potential appeal purposes. The names of any persons observing the public hearing via this Zoom link, other than the recipient, must have been provided to KDHE prior to tonight's hearing. Failure to do so shall be considered by KDHE as waiver of participation for any appeal purposes. By joining this meeting, you acknowledge and agree to abide by this policy. In conformance with Kansas Administrative Regulation 28-16-61, this hearing is being held to accept comments regarding the proposed issuance of a Kansas water pollution control permit to Schwartz-Wilke Farms, LLP, which, if approved, would be a new permit issued for a facility named Smokey Hills Port near Minneapolis, Kansas. The new permit number is A-SOOT-H001. The proposed permit would allow for the confined feeding of 14,976 animals or head of swine weighing more than 55 pounds, which equates to 5,990.4 animal units, and 30,583 head of swine weighing less 55 pounds or less, which equates to 3,058.3 animal units, for a total of 9,048.7 animal units. If approved, the facility will be located in the southeast quarter of Section 1, Township 10 South, Range 4 West, in Ottawa County, Kansas. Public notice of the proposed permit was published in the Kansas Register, Volume 44, Issue 22, on May 29, 2025. Notice of tonight's public hearing was also published in the Kansas Register, Volume 44, Issue 23, on June 5th, 2025, and the Minneapolis Messenger, a weekly newspaper, on June 5th, 2025. The public comment period will end at 90 minutes after the close of tonight's hearing. I will now outline procedures for this hearing. As you enter the room, you should have filled out the registration form at the table near the entrance. On that form, you are asked to indicate if you intend to present either oral or written comments during the hearing. I will use these forms to call people forward to present their comments. If you did not fill out a form and wish to provide either oral or written testimony during this hearing, please fill out a form at this time. For those of you participating via Zoom, please indicate in the chat function that you would like to present oral or written comments. The names of those individuals on Zoom will be called after the in-person attendees have completed their testimony. Prior to the public testimony, we will start with a presentation from KDHE staff, who will provide a brief summary of the proposed permit. Upon completion of the KDHE presentation, I will then open the public hearing to those of you who wish to present oral or written comments regarding the draft permit. The public hearing is being conducted informally, and formal rules of evidence do not apply. A public hearing is not a question and answer forum. Individuals should comment only on issues pertinent to the draft livestock waste permit for Smokey Hills Court, so that all interested parties have an opportunity to give oral testimony. As stated earlier, this hearing is being recorded by KDHE staff. Any unapproved recording of this hearing via Zoom is strictly prohibited. Please be advised that closed captioning on the Zoom screen may not accurately interpret or translate the oral statements being spoken. The record will be reviewed to ensure all comments are accurately captured for consideration by Secretary Stanton when making her decision regarding the proposed permit. The address you provided on the registration form when registering for this hearing will be used to mail a copy of the responsiveness summary and a notice of the Secretary's final decision regarding the proposed permit. If you did not provide a complete or accurate mailing address, you may not receive notice of the Secretary's decision. If necessary, you may correct your contact information before the conclusion of this hearing. This may also be done in the question and answer or chat functions in Zoom or by email to kdhe.feedlots@ks.gov. Additionally, if you are participating in this hearing through a forwarded link from someone else, you will not receive a copy of the responsiveness summary unless a written request is received either in the question and answer box in Zoom or by email to kdhe.feedlots@ks.gov within 90 minutes of the close of this hearing. I will now introduce Mr. Stuart Klaus, Professional Engineer in the Livestock Waste Management Section, representing the Bureau of Environmental Services in the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. Mr. Klaus will provide background information regarding the proposed permit.
Thank you, Dan. My name is Stuart Klaus, and I am the CAFO Engineering Program Manager for the Livestock Waste Management Program of the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. My testimony tonight will provide a brief summary of the current proposed permitting action for the Smokey Hills Port Facility. The draft Kansas Water Pollution Control Permit for agriculture and related waste under consideration is for a swine operation with a maximum capacity of 14,976 head, 5,924 animal units of swine weighing more than 55 pounds, and 30,583 head, 3,058.3 animal units of swine weighing less than 55 pounds, for a total of 45,559 head, 9,048.7 animal units of swine. The proposed facility will be located in the southwest border of Section 1, Township 10 South, Range 4 West in Ottawa County, Kansas. A permit application was received by the department on March 6, 2025 for a proposed facility and waste management systems consisting of 2 enclosed swine buildings with concrete pits, 2 anaerobic treatment lagoons, and 1 wastewater retention lagoon. The northern building, designed for gilt development and farrowing operations, will measure 1,140 feet by 205 feet. The southern building, designated for breeding and gestation, will measure 1,120 feet by 240 feet. Waste is collected underneath the buildings in 2-foot shallow pits that drain via 8-inch pull plugs into a 15-inch main waste line. The main waste line will be approximately 1,430 feet long and drain towards a diverter box. A design variance has been granted from the main waste line to slope at 0.35% instead of the minimum 0.5% towards the diverter box. The waste diverter box will measure 8 feet by 9.5 feet by 5.5 feet deep and is designed to control the flow of waste to one of 2 anaerobic treatment cells. This design is being proposed so the facility may discharge while solids are being removed from either cell. The outlets from the diverter box will be 2 15-inch PVC pipes for both cells 1A and 1B. Both cells 1A and 1B will be rectangular, measuring 350 feet by 305 feet by 20 feet deep. The inside slopes of each cell will be 4-to-1, and the total storage capacity will be 24.21 acre feet at the 2-foot freeboard. Each treatment cell is designed to anaerobically treat and capture solids prior to discharging into the waste retention lagoon. Cell 2 via 15-inch PVC pipes located 10 feet below each common burn. A water level control device will be located in line with a valve to control waste flow. An 18-inch welded steel pipe will be located 3.5 feet below the top of each common burn to allow for hydraulic overflow between the anaerobic treatment cells and cell 2. Both cells will be lined with a 12-inch compacted clay liner. Cell 2 will be rectangular, measuring 640 by 430 feet, with a total depth of 14 feet. Inside slopes will be 3-to-1, with a total storage capacity of 62.42 acre-feet. Cell 2 will have a 12-inch thick clay liner. Freshwater diversions will be constructed in the proposed building pad in the northeast, southeast, and southwest corners to allow for proper drainage. Rainwater from the buildings is proposed to be collected by the diversion channels by grading the areas around the buildings. Mortalities will be composted in a roofed concrete-based structure located north of the buildings, measuring 191 feet by 40 feet. There will be 10 bays with 4 back slopes of 1% towards the concrete wall, and concrete apron extending 15 feet out from the roofed area will have a 3% slope away from the bays to prevent runoff. The draft water pollution control permit describes the proposed facility, the operating limitations, operation and maintenance requirements, nutrient management requirements, standard conditions, reporting and record-keeping requirements, and any other measures deemed necessary to protect the waters of the state of Kansas. If the permit currently being considered is issued, a schedule of compliance will be included. The schedule of compliance will specify the construction timeframe for completing the construction of the approved plans. It would also require that the facility provide the department with a post-construction certification to assure the facility was constructed in accordance with approved plans and specifications, or as-built plans detailing any deviations from the approved plans. Waste will be land applied in accordance with the facility's approved nutrient management plan and nutrient utilization plan. The facility will operate in accordance with the approved odor control plan, emergency response plan, manure management plan, and dead swine handling plan. The facility will be required to land apply waste at agronomic rates in accordance with the Kansas Technical Standards for Nutrient Management, revised in 2025. Kansas Department of Health and Environmental personnel, including a professional engineer, have reviewed the permit application, the information on file with the department, and other readily available sources of information to determine compliance with applicable water pollution control, water quality protection, and agricultural and related waste management statutes and regulations. The permit application submitted for Schwartz-Wilke Farms, LLP, for the proposed construction of the facility and the draft permit have been made available for public review at the KDHE offices in Salina and Topeka. The initial department review has found the permit application and supporting documentation meets applicable laws governing confined feeding facilities. The applicable regulations, including filing of applications, payment of fees, design of animal waste management systems, and groundwater and surface water protection requirements for wastewater control structures and waste treatment facilities, and the applicable design standards, including content of plans, specifications, location considerations, capacity criteria, and waste utilization criteria have been met. The draft permit has been developed in accordance with applicable laws, including permits for management of wastewater and applicable regulations, including development of a draft permit, public notice of permit actions and public hearings, permit terms and conditions, and permit monitoring and reporting requirements. Although the review indicates permit application meets all applicable requirements of water quality protection, there may be other additional information of which the department is unaware that should be considered in arriving at a decision whether or not to issue the permit, modify the permit, or to deny the current permit application. Any such information should be presented to the department before the close of the public comment period, so the final decision by the department is based on all known factual information. The department has not made a final decision regarding this water pollution control permit application. This hearing is being held to receive any additional information from the public regarding the permit application or draft permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klaus. At this time, I will open the hearing to receive public testimony regarding the proposed permit. When your name is called, please step to the microphone at the podium, state your name, whom you represent, and your mailing address, followed by your comments. If you wish to provide a written copy of your comments, you can provide those to me at that time. For those of you on Zoom, when your name is called, your microphone will be unmuted. Please be aware there may be a small delay after your microphone has been unmuted. We currently have a large number of attendees who wish to provide oral comments. All presenters will be allotted a total time of 3 minutes to present your testimony. The KDHE staff person here to my right will be holding signs informing you how much time is left and when your time to give testimony has expired. Please remember to keep the comments related to this draft permit only. I also ask that you speak clearly to your microphone so that we may hear your oral comments. Please begin by stating your name and address prior to your comments. And if I mispronounce your name, please forgive me. Sometimes names are sometimes a little different based on what area of the state or country that you grew up in. I'm going to call the first 10 people down here to give their testimony. And if you would, please sit on the front row here in the bleachers. The first 10 will be Tom Corman, Jeremiah Van Doren, Kathy Sharpless. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tim Schwartz, Tim O'Keefe, Kate and Mark Henry, Tanner Davis, Janice Davidson, and Leland Johnson. If you all would come out and sit in the front row here at the bleachers just to help save some time. Okay, thank you. Our first person to present testimony tonight is Tom Corman. We just turned that mic, so mic test it, make sure it's working.
Testing.
Is that okay with everybody? Okay.
I just was handed the thing, this, that needs to be added to this sheet. Somebody wanted me to add the blueprint for this facility does not include restrooms or a septic tank. Additionally, there is no blueprint for a feed storage area, nor is there a feed spill plan in the event of a spill. I should like you people to deny the facilities permit request until the Department of Health and Environment and the Kansas Department of Agriculture have the proper staffing and the political will to monitor the aquifer, let alone add over 50 million gallons of water use a year to an already stressed aquifer. We only have to look at the pathetic flow of the Solomon River when it's not raining to see that our aquifer is in danger. Our Department of Agriculture will continue to issue irrigation permits until we have reached what they have decided is the maximum usage. We know through a whistleblower that many people have figured out how to manipulate the water meters on their wells. These critical decisions about our aquifer are being made by government officials who have not even received the accurate data that they need. I have nothing against the farmers who are trying to water their crops and make a living, but I don't think they understand the enormous risks that they have taken on. Schwartz Company has worked a sweetheart deal for themselves. The waste ponds must be pumped when they reach a legal limit, no matter what the physical condition of the fields. Schwartz has absolved themselves of all liability. The farmers who receive the waste have accepted all responsibilities for any damage that occurs. There is almost sure to be a class action lawsuit filed by the people of this county. All the people living within the 7-mile radius will be able to prove that they have been physically and mentally damaged and financially damaged. As the spraying of fecal material, excuse me if I mess up and call what I usually call that, on the fields, our tiny particulars are floating on the wind and deposited in houses and businesses anywhere near the fields, which are closer to Minneapolis than the facility itself. This includes all the people who live in Minneapolis and Delphos. This is not speculation on my part. A study done by the University of Johns Hopkins, which is not some fly-by-night university like Harvard or Yale, has found that airborne contaminants, including bacteria, particulate matter, hazardous gases like ammonia and hydrogen sulfide float on the wind and will be affecting the city of Minneapolis. My time's up. Okay.
Mr. Corman, would you state your name and address, please?
My name is Tom Corman, 120 South Ross, Minneapolis campus, 67467.
Okay. And any comments that weren't provided before your time was up, you can email those to kdhe.feedlots@ks.gov.
I will.
If you want. You can do that up to 90 minutes upon after the close of the hearing.
Okay, thank you.
And written comments provided via email and via mail, they carry just as much weight and importance as ones provided tonight. So all comments are responded to regardless of how you provide it to KDHE. The next person is Jeremiah Van Doren.
Good evening. My name is Jeremiah Van Doren. I've lived here in Ottawa County my entire life, and I work just a few blocks away from here. In fact, I spend most of my waking hours here in Minneapolis. Tonight, I'll try to keep my remarks brief, but I have submitted a full technical analysis into the record for your review. Every statement in it is backed by science, by data, heavily sources the Kansas Geological Survey, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, as well as KDHE regulations and federal EPA guidance. So I can keep my comments brief as I can. This site isn't just a bad location for a hog operation. It is a uniquely bad location. The same forces of nature that created Rock City, the massive one-of-a-kind stone formations we're all famous for, also created some of the most unpredictable cross-permeable geology in the state. Beneath the surface, this land isn't layered like a cake, although when you take a core sample, it looks like it's layered like a cake. Kansas, they did a geological survey back in the 60s. They compared 300 different core samples, cross-referenced to each other, and what they found was the geology beneath our feet, they likened to the current Mississippi River Delta, full of meandering sand dunes and mudflats that are periodically cut through by deep flood channels. Those flood channels will silt in with sand, and those sand channels, which can be very narrow at times, and you may not see them when you do core samples, will interconnect multiple different layers of permeable soil at different depths. So what happens there is when contaminants get into the groundwater, it can behave in very unpredictable ways. Again, this is geology that is very unique to this area. I'm sure most people who grew up here are familiar with the unique geology that we have. The applicants, having not been familiar with Rock City's geology, are probably not familiar with our unique geology. But what happens is those contaminants can behave in very unpredictable ways. Surface contaminants can reach a permeable layer, travel horizontally, and then after they've traveled a mile or two, they can travel vertically up or down into a completely different layer and contaminate the underground aquifers that feed the city's water supply and many of our homes and as well as our rivers. So I asked tonight for the KDHE to deny this permit, and not just deny it, but deny it with finality. Some risks just aren't worth taking, and no engineering fix can change the fact that this land is fundamentally the wrong place for this scale of operation. Thank you.
Sir, tell us your address, please.
My name is Jeremiah Van Doren. My address is 116 South West Avenue, Tustin, Kansas, Ottawa County, 67484.
Thank you. Next person is Kathy Sharp.
Hello, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I really do appreciate you folks coming from Topeka very much. I'm Kathy Sharpless. I live in the county outside of Minneapolis, and my main concern is water, both the river and the groundwater, and specifically the export agreement. The export fields where the waste from the lagoons will be distributed. 97,000 tons a year of waste to be distributed on 960 acres. And there's a problem with that export agreement because once it leaves the Schwartz facility boundary, there is no more accounting for it. Nobody's responsible. There's no monitoring. There's no soil testing required. Now, that might be recommended, but not required. No flow meters on the center pivots are required. In fact, there's no specific objective measurements of any sort that are required once it leaves that facility. And the transferee is contractually bound to come dewater that lagoon when Schwartz requests it. But what if his fields are saturated? Where does it go? We don't know. We don't know if it ends up as runoff in the river or if it goes through that sensitive groundwater area, which this whole thing is located on, straight down to the groundwater. And statute 2-3318 very specifically says that the Kansas Department of Health and Environment guarantee that the waste be applied at agronomic rates, but it gives absolutely no mechanism. There's no enforcement mechanism. I've read this whole thing. How many people here have? I've read the whole thing. I've been studying it for weeks. And there is no enforcement mechanism. There's no oversight. There's no measurement. There's no accountability. And I'm just begging you, as our officials who are to protect our health and our groundwater, to do the right thing, do the necessary thing, and do the only scientifically sound thing, and that is to deny this permit. And I refer everybody here to KSA statute 2-3318 and show me where in the permit there's any enforcement mechanism on that. And if there's not enforcement, that means things have a path down to groundwater. We don't know where it ends up. If alternative export fields are needed, they're not specified in there. So we don't know where it goes. It might be fields that are even closer to the river and even more likely to run off into it. So we need to protect our groundwater, and this is an alluvial aquifer. 40% of our aquifer recharge is from surface water. The river's in the creek, so it matters what goes down that river. Thank you.
Give me your address, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 658 Justice Road, Minneapolis. And I also have some written comments that people have to in regard especially to that and their
Okay, thank you. Next person is Tim Schwartz.
Good evening. My name is Tim Schwartz, 32296, 190th Street, Sleep Engine 5635. Good evening. My name is Tim Schwartz. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and proud second-generation family member of Schwartz Farms. I'm a pharmacist by training, but my passion is in agriculture, and I was fortunate to return to my hometown in 2012 to join our family business. Schwartz Farms began in 1978 when my dad and uncles began to start a cropping operation and fed a few pigs. Today, my Uncle John continues to lead as our CEO. My dad oversees our crop farming. My Uncle Mark directs our research team. My brother Jake is a veterinarian and leads sow production, while my brother Brian oversees business development. My cousins Pete and Andy also play key roles in information technology and data analysis. We also surround ourselves with many dedicated non-family leaders, managers, teammates that work hard each day to enable us to do what we do. Our mission is to create quality pork and create opportunities for rural communities. We've been blessed to do that for 50 years. With deep roots in agriculture and small towns, we believe sustainability goes far beyond environmental stewardship. It also means vibrant communities with access to grocery stores, education, and healthcare. It means local opportunities for future generations, all things needed for communities to sustain that we directly support. From our perspective, there is no better place in the country to invest in the future than right here in Ottawa County. Safeguarding the environment, providing a safe and positive work environment for our people, caring for our animals, and supporting the communities we are proud to call home are all non-negotiables at Schwartz Farms. We have a proven track record of environmental compliance, animal care, and people safety. We have stayed true to our values, been responsible, and blessed with long-lasting friendships or relationships with our partners. Our family and teams work hard every day to ensure a viable, vibrant tomorrow for our employees, partners, and communities. As a family company, we view Smokey Hills Farm not just for today, but part of the legacy of Schwartz Farms and Ottawa County together tomorrow. This farm is a multi-generational investment and has been engineered and will operate sustainably, safeguarding the environment for many years to come. We sincerely look forward to the opportunity to grow our family farm in Ottawa County and become part of the Minneapolis and broader Ottawa County community. Thank you.
Mr. O'Keefe.
Tim O'Keefe, P.O. Box 232, Minneapolis, Kansas, 67467. I'm Chief Executive Officer of Hewitt here in Minneapolis. We have 154 employees here right now, about 250 across the country. We've been here for over 100 years, and I'm here to urge you to deny this permit application. One thing we know, four things I know about this matter, and I'm not a scientist. One, water runs downhill. Two, the wind blows in Kansas. Three, hogs poop and pee. And number four, no one wants to live by this. Mr. Schwartz does not live here. So, with that in mind, I think it's important to look beneath the surface, and according to their own website, right here, one of the most important aspects of this program is the spraying of 97,000 tons a year of waste on the land around us. So I want to refer you to a report of the Kansas Geological Survey by Leslie Max that says in Ottawa County groundwater moves toward the major streams, and once it reaches the terrace deposits, it flows with the streams down with the down valley component. Large amounts of groundwater move to the Solomon and Saline rivers, which is toward us. And according to this study, about 50,000 acre feet a year of water comes from the groundwater into our rivers. I also want to refer you to this report given to the Kansas legislature in 2022. It's a study on groundwater. We're in the Dakota aquifer, and this is the approximate location of the permit. And if you look at this next slide, you can tell by the rivers that the surface water is running toward us. This is the actual groundwater according to that study. And you can see it likewise is running toward us. Also in this study is the water use. I'm going to refer to this as the toilet bowl. And what you see here is the red represents municipal water supplies. And compared to a rural location, especially if you go out farther west, the water supply here in our area is used for municipal purposes to a much greater extent than is other parts of the state. Wind direction, and one thing I do want to say, I want to add on the record that I object to this process, because this is a public hearing to help the public understand what's going on. But wind directions are northerly and often more than 10 miles an hour, and the wind directions that you see below here are ones that would blow the fumes from this site into our community here in Minneapolis. So at the end of the day, environmental is not simply about health, it's also about desirability. It's about whether or not people want to live here. And this is the population of Ottawa County since 2000. And this is a situation in which people are not going to want to live here. And one of the reasons why this isn't in Minnesota, in Mr. Schwartz's backyard, is because he doesn't want it any more than we do. Thank you.
Do you want those posters submitted as part of the record for tonight?
Yes, and I have printed copies for you.
Yeah,
Paper size, so you don't have to carry that.
So you do have to provide those things. Okay, thank you. And then Kate and Mark King.
Kate Henry, 875 6th Road, Longford, Kansas, 67458. We share a driveway with some of the Schwartz hog barns in Longford. They have been great neighbors, and their barns are actually to the north of our house. I read a lot of comments on the Facebook page and listened to the town hall meeting last week. Several things I read and heard really bothered me, but the one that bothered me the most was the quote, "The poor people who work in those places do have a very high rate of health problems. I know that the companies try to protect them from some of it, but it's the nature of the job and you can't completely eliminate the potential harm from that." Those poor people that we're talking about are my husband and my children. We would never do anything to put our kids in harm's way. From the day they were born, they lived with a large hog facility about 100 steps from their back door. They drank the water, they grew up playing outside, they worked inside and outside of our facilities. They did this all while our neighbors were taking the manure and applying it on the land around our house. Our oldest graduated from K-State in May, and our two sons are in college now, and their health is great. I hope that if you have concerns, you will ask someone that has lived it and understands it. Large hog facilities are nothing new. We were in business for 70 years, and I think there is something to be said about that. Thank you for your time.
My name is Mark Henry. To say, I just want to touch on, I'm a third generation hog farmer. We got out of business here about, a year ago. And getting in business with Schwartz's has been a great deal for us. We've had a great working relationship. They've been very respectful of our family. We share a driveway with them. Have to see employees drive by, feed trucks, semis, all of that stuff. But a lot of those concerns that we even had because we're sharing a driveway, my wife and I don't even talk about it. There's a lot of those concerns that haven't been an issue to us. And they've been a great asset to the Clay County community too. You don't think about the things that they bring as far as donating pigs to multiple events to the community, purchasing trucks, tractors, mowers, etc. I've heard a lot of talk about taxes and stuff too. We farm for a long time and understand how expensive owning pig barns are. So that's something that everybody pays the correct amount of taxes, and they'll do the same with what they're trying to do here. My wife touched on employees' health. We've had employees that work for us when we were in business for 25 plus years. It's not an issue. It's a false statement, grasping at straws to try to find things wrong with big farms. Water. I'm going to continue doing manure for Schwartz's. We test the lagoon for nutrients. We test the soil so we know how much nutrients the soil needs, and all of that gets monitored every year. We also do the gallons that leave the lagoon so we know how many gallons are going through the center and get removed from the lagoon. And then those numbers get given back to Schwartz's so they can turn it into the state. So I'm a farmer. I want to make sure my crops do as good as they can, so that's something we watch closely. Hog farmers in the state of Kansas, they're transparent as we need to be. We follow all KDHE guidelines. And for me, if you want the truths about hog farms, you really need to ask people that know. And I will tell you that, working with Schwartz's last year, you're not going to find people better bigger asset in your community. Thank you.
Tanner Davis.
My name is Tanner Davis. I live at 121 Cherry Street here in Minneapolis, Kansas. I believe this facility and its proposed location present an inherent risk for the entire community. From 2012 to 2016, I attended Kansas State University and graduated with a degree in conservation biology. In 2013, I completed an internship with the North Central District KDHE office. During my time there, I witnessed the damage caused by two separate lagoon overflows in Marion County. The first call our office received stated the creek that runs through Peabody, Kansas was bright red. After further investigation, we discovered a smaller cattle feedlot had been overrun by the large amount of rain they had received. Their pens were flooded and their lagoons had overflowed. The waste ran into the creek, creating an algal bloom that caused the creek in Peabody to turn red. The second call we received was a complaint from a farmer also in Marion County. He had gone out to inspect a pond in one of his pastures and noticed that there had been a fish killed. Once again, after further investigation, we discovered that another cattle feedlot had been overwhelmed by the large amount of rain they had received. His lagoon had overflowed and the waste trickled through a crop field into his pond. I have told you about these experiences to demonstrate that no matter how unlikely these problems may seem, they do occur. If we receive an unpredictably high amount of rainfall, or an accident occurs, or someone simply forgets a step in regards to maintaining the level of these lagoons, I believe the consequences would be disastrous for our groundwater and river system. As I witnessed in 2013 in Marion County, the planning for these circumstances is sometimes not enough. Due to the proposed site's proximity to sensitive groundwater areas and tributaries of the Solomon River, the result of any mishap or disaster would present problems for the community for years to come, including access to clean, potable water and damage to our natural resources. I am also concerned about the plan for the seepage from the lagoon. Why would a facility this size with the proposal not include any form of plastic liner in addition to the clay liner? A plastic liner would provide improved containment, reduced seepage, and greater resistance to disturbances such as animals and root growth. I believe a plastic liner should be mandatory for a facility this size that is adjacent to sensitive groundwater areas. In conclusion, my greatest concern is the proposed location of this facility. As I hope I have demonstrated, sometimes there are circumstances beyond anyone's planning or control. Due to the size of this facility and its proximity to sensitive groundwater areas and ephemeral streams, an unforeseen problem will lead to our entire community paying a price for years to come. If our community does not have clean water, we will have nothing. This is why I am requesting that KDHE deny issuance of this permit. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you. Janice Davidson.
My name is Janice Davidson, and address is 604. Is it turned on?
Yes, thank you.
My address is 603 North Main, Delphos, Kansas, 67436. The town of Delphos is approximately 5 miles from the proposed swine facility. It's north of this facility. My family, as well as many other families, depend upon Delphos city wells for our water. Delphos has good clean water, and there's a good chance that this swine facility will contaminate the alluvial aquifer that gets 40% of its water from surface water. Water quality is our most precious resource. I was the Ottawa County Emergency Management Director in 1993 when Ottawa County experienced a 100-year flood, and I saw the destruction firsthand. The proposed berms and lagoons are only rated to withstand a 25-year, 24-hour rainfall event, which only provides minimal protection in a sensitive groundwater area. This site also borders a floodplain. The lagoons are not required to have rubber liners. The seepage is estimated to be 3 feet at the bottom of the lagoons per year. Groundwater is reached at only 35 feet below the bottom of those lagoons. The swine waste is supposed to be sprayed on with a pivot system on the fields, which are less than 2 miles from the Solomon River. Solomon River runs through Ottawa County. The fields have natural drainage that slopes towards the Solomon River. The permit states that the waste cannot be applied to the fields when the ground is saturated by rainfall or is frozen in the winter. There doesn't seem to be any provision for what happens to that liquefied waste when this happens. The waste is continually generated at the facility, and where will that go? Once waste leaves the site, there's no monitoring or means of accountability required by Schwartz-Wilke Farms or the recipient of the waste. KDHE should do soil testing and pivot flow measurements in the export fields as is required in KSA Statute 23318. There also should be monitoring wells around the site, both upstream and downstream. There are no monitoring wells required, and that's leaving our groundwater unprotected. I thank KDHE for this opportunity to take comments from people that it impacts. Given the high risk to Ottawa County's water quality, I am requesting that KDHE deny the issuance of this permit.
Thank you. Next individual is Leland Johnson.
Thank you to the KDHE for allowing me to comment on my concerns regarding the waste generated from proposed confined livestock facility in Ottawa County. My name is Leland Johnson. I live at 1654 North 130th Road, Minneapolis, Kansas. My home is the closest home and residence and well to this proposed facility. My family and I rely on clean, bountiful water. I am concerned about the large amount of animal waste that must be dealt with from this facility. My house is also 1.5 miles from one of the proposed export fields, with other export fields nearby. The potential for this facility to affect not only my family, but other families in the community is large. I will not try to present you with a lot of calculations on the volume of material that this facility will generate. Others will have more information than I have some other thoughts, but I'm going to forego those at this time. I just wanted you to see my face as being the closest one to this facility. Anything that happens, I will be the one that's affected by that. I just wanted you to see. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to the questions of individuals. I'll call the second group. If you would please come down and up to the front row of the bleachers. Jason Reese, Don Koster, Kirsten Rodenbeck, David Marlin, Debbie Wilbur. Okay. Sharon Faust, Oscar Wendling, and then Michelle Lavis, and then Bruce May Lavis, however that's pronounced. Please forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. Okay, and the first individual will be Jason Reese.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share my comments. Jason Reese, 17557 County Highway 1 in Springfield, Minnesota 56087. I am the construction manager with Schwartz Farms. In this role, I participate in the planning, design, construction, and startup phases of all new and remodeled farms. In my professional tenure, I have worked in 3 other industries: designer for a luxury home design build firm, a structural detailer in the limestone quarrying and fabrication industry, and lastly, in the silica sand processing industry as a startup strategist. These experiences prepared me for my role, but they pale in comparison to the planning and care that goes into a Schwartz Farms project. Our team spends months planning, reviewing every aspect of the proposed project, starting with the site selection. We rely on professional engineers specializing in water resource, agriculture, structural, and civil. We conduct geology and groundwater studies, assess location for the health of our herd, evaluate feed availability, and consider surrounding cropland for responsible nutrient use. We evaluate roads, energy, internet, and the local community to understand available resources to support the needs of the farm and the people who will work it. We consult with our team of animal welfare specialists, nutritionists, safety experts, and operational leaders to ensure we create the best environment for our team and our pigs. We detail every piece of equipment from pumps and piping, sizing, slopes, and liner of lagoons for optimal, environmentally sound nutrient management. We design ventilation, feed and water delivery systems, pens and alleys to provide the ideal environment while ensuring efficient use. Each design providing operational flexibility and contingency provisions in the event of weather or other unforeseen disruptions. We do things right, and we do them for the long term. My entire professional career is focused on details, quality control, bringing teams of experts together to meet or exceed requirements, deliver sound, structural solutions, and create ideal environments. And that is exactly what we intend to do with the Smokey Hills Farm. I am proud to be part of this family company and stand in favor of this project. Thank you.
Don Foster, is that correct?
My name is Don Foster, Wheel Box 196, Minneapolis, Kansas. I'm a former hog producer I dealt with KDHE. I don't believe that the thing that the people behind us are concerned about is water as much as it is smell. That's what my biggest concern was that I had a problem with people's smell. I just come back from Nebraska. They got hog houses all over the place up there, and they really don't smell at all. They just put it out on the ground. That's where it should go. The nitrogen that you're talking about in the soil, well, that goes from our fertilizer we put on top, goes down. They're 2 miles away from the Solomon River, but we've got a feedlot out here that's right close to Lindsay Creek, and the feedlot gets along fine. I think we should allow this thing to go in and bring in 50 more people for workers. And it might help build the town up a little bit.
Kirsten Rodenbeck.
It's Kirsten Rodenbeck, and I live at 106 West Benedict Lane, Bennington, Kansas. And my comments will actually be directed at my community, if that's all right. Hello, I'm so nervous, but I felt so compelled because this is such an important topic. My name is Kirsten, and I grew up right here in Kansas, oddly enough, on a hog farm. So I know what that smells like, and I know what it means to scoop that stuff. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I don't know about the rest of you. But I also know what it means and how you take care of animals and lands properly. And that is why I'm here, because that is what Kansas was built on. Our state was built on farmers and ranchers who took care of one another. Our forefathers did not wait to be fed. They planted, they harvested, and they shared. They built a food system on hard work, proud work, resilience, and neighborly care. Somewhere along the lines, we let our food system get away from us, though. We allowed mega corporations to define how food is grown, processed, and distributed. Food is now shipped thousands of miles wrapped in plastic and labeled in lies. Right now, the food system rewards size, not stewardship. We recognize volume over value, and it's pushing the real farmers and ranchers out of the picture. Let me be clear, there is a difference in my mind between a real farmer and a factory farmer. And we get to choose. No matter what happens with this permit, no matter what happens with this farm, we still get to choose how we spend our dollars. Okay? Getting nervous, sorry. So right here in Ottawa County, you can buy beef from your neighbors. You can get a hog from your neighbors and they'll take it to the butcher. And it's the best hog you're ever going to eat, right? You can grow chickens in your backyard. You do not have to go to Walmart. You can get it right out of your backyard or from somebody who produces food with love and honor and respect, the way our forefathers did. We don't have to wait for the government to save our food system because we are the food system. You can grow it with your own hands or you can buy it from somebody honorable who did. Our food system is broken, so let's support policies and people who stand for small farmers and clean water. Ottawa County is strong. We do not need to become the dumping ground for another factory's hog manure. I don't want that. Y'all wouldn't want that in your backyard. Ottawa County is strong. We have the roots, we have the grit, and we have the heart to do better. And I think deep down that y'all know we can do better than this. So let's protect Ottawa County. I request that you deny this permit and help us protect our community. Thank you.
David Gordon.
I'm David Gordon, 608 East Republic, Swine, 67401. I cannot begin to match the eloquence of the presenters and the services they've done here. I also oppose this operation. The gist of my written comments was that even in Salina, Kansas, Lake County, we're downstream. So that's one thing, but I wanted to share with KDHE and with the audience some background on this was very influential. My beginning college teaching career was at Garden City Community College. I worked in the summer for the Soil Conservation Service, did land leveling on already level land level, so you distribute the water better, right? So one of the images that stands out foremost in my mind was if you or I stood up there, you imagine that how far we are from the ground. There was outside of Garden City, before they started pushing all the water underground where you couldn't see it, a huge pipe that ran into the ditch that irrigated countless crops around there. The diameter of that volume of water was about as wide as you and I are tall. I walked up with a cup because it didn't bring any water that day. So I could sip out of that, right out of that flowing fire hose of water. It was the most delicious stuff I've ever tasted. It was also 100 degrees, so we could relate right today. So that cemented for me how precious that resource was. I want to recommend for everybody here and for the KDHE, look at this, the book Running Out by Lucas Vecito. Lucas Vecito wrote about his growing up in that area and about the way in which water is controlled by large farmers and corporate interests. There is an economic imperative always to expand, and it has resulted in a kind of economy that is going to be very forcefully described. That water will not be there. Eventually, it's finite. Potable water in particular is a finite resource, and it should be guarded like gold. We live in a culture and society that is mining us and our welfare. Again, it's been very eloquently spoken to here. If we don't stop that in its tracks, we all will suffer, whether we be Ottawa County, Minneapolis, Sling County, or wherever we are. So please, do not approve this facility.
Debbie Wilbur.
I'm Debbie Wilbur. I live at 292 Carroll Road.
Maybe look closer.
My name is Debbie Wilbur. I live at 2522 Carroll Road, and I'm downstream right off the south where our neighborhood gets flooded a lot. I'm also from Johns Hopkins. I was a researcher in drug-resistant infectious diseases, and I do have the same concerns that other people have had about water quality as far as phosphates and all that. That's hard to differentiate between what farmers already apply and what the people put in. But the drug-resistant, there is a very good chance that there's drug-resistant pathogens that can get into our surface water and our water supply. I know this because this is my was looking at research. I'm a biology major. So, having heard Mr. Schwartz say that he used to be a pharmacist, he should be very familiar with this. I'm surprised he didn't say something to counteract that somebody was going to say something about this. The farmers that live in Longford, that's a very small sampling of people. It's not statistically insignificant. If you go to places like North Carolina and Iowa, there are studies where they've shown drug-resistant that's a highly elevated around the areas of these cables. Also, I really appreciate all the thought that you put into your facility and the anaerobic treatment and stuff like that. But there again, drug-resistant and non-drug-resistant bacteria and pathogens that can survive in an anaerobic environment. So I'm very, very concerned with this kind of stuff. I'm not just concerned with these kinds of young ones that got up there and talked about the Longford stuff. They're not in their 60s like I am. I have already suffered from long-term effects. When you get older, you start getting things that you didn't think you were going to get when you were younger, and it's a possibility. I'm also concerned about hormones in the water supply, and that's going to affect everyone. If the hormones get into the surface water and get into our aquifer or travel down the river and get flooded into other areas such as Delphos, that's going to be a problem. I'm also concerned with PFAS because that's part of what I do right now. Is I'm an engineer for an aerospace company, and I do all the reporting on chemicals that get into the environment. And PFAS, definitely, sure you're going to be inoculating these pigs and stuff. What are you going to do with all the plastic waste that comes out of that? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to try to address it. I would like to hear what plans are. PFAS is going to be dumped into our local environment, and that does also get into our water supply. So I am, of course, against this. So I appreciate you guys having time to take this for all of us. Thank you.
Sharon Klaus. Okay. Oscar Lemley.
Hello, I'm Oscar Lemley, 211 Cherry Avenue, Minneapolis, Kansas. I came here in 2022 to get a better life. I've been part of a great community. And I would like to request to deny for this loan, because not only will it affect the families and because you never know if somebody will get sick from it, and to mention that, there's also a possibility that you will kill the wildlife or drive away and the fish that come through. I've seen quite a few fish die over the winter, but with this one, I don't think it would be a good idea. everyone here helps out, does what they need to do, and that's all I have.
Michelle, I'm sorry.
That's okay, lay down on the bus. I am Michelle Davis. I live at 1135 Windmill, Delphos, Kansas. Our home is about 5 miles north of the proposed facility. A lot of the things that I wanted to talk about have already been kind of touched on. But I do kind of want to remind people that, Schwartz sound like a nice family. And we all here are all neighbors and we're friends. At least I consider people friends. Other people do not consider me a friend. But we're all a community. And we want the best for our community. And no matter what a nice guy you may be, accidents happen. And I'm very, very concerned about, especially the exit plan, the export of manure and effluent from the facility. I guess it's supposed to be going out in heights and then use center pivot. Evidently, the center pivot pump is actually in a well that's drilled down 250 feet into our aquifer. I know that there's safety measures, there's valves that keep things from backflowing, but like I said, it only takes one accident to happen. Also, again, nobody is looking at air quality, and we are aerosolizing all of this material. And as other people have pointed out, it's more than just the nitrates and the phosphates. There are other issues, viruses, even swine. I can't even imagine how many, and I think it is hard to imagine, the concentration of swine that's going to be here. And not only just swine, it's not just a feedlot. It cannot be compared to our feedlot out here. This is farrowing, which means you are, in fact, they could not get the local feed here from our local. They had to get special feed that's shipped in because our local co-op cannot provide it. We know with farrowing and with also growing pigs, they need lots of extra protein, which significantly increases the nitrogenous waste. So I just kind of want to remind people, it doesn't matter. I love the people here, and you can be the nicest guy in the world, but mistakes still happen. Thank you very much.
Bruce Davis.
I'm Bruce Davis, 35 Windmill Road, Delphos, Kansas. Most of what I was going to talk about has already been touched on. My wife stole most of my speech, so I just summarize. My main concern is the export plan. Under the nutrient management plan and into the nutrient management plan, one, as has been mentioned, there's no artificial line plastic line in the ponds. Perhaps it plays good enough, but it does have a percolation rate, and eventually that stuff's going to get on the aquifer, which is, as you all know, is very high in nitrates, which increases the rates of illness, cancer, specifically urinary and bladder cancers. But the primary concern is the addendum to the nutrient management plan specifically says once that effluent leaves their lagoon, it's no longer their responsibility. There's minimal, then it becomes the responsibility of a farmer who's pumping it, and he's pumping it through pipelines to the Senate. State of Kansas, I don't believe, has many rules and regulations regarding pumping effluent for farm use. That means there's minimal oversight. There's recommendations, but there's no laws. That means there's no enforcement. When you're pumping 15 million gallons of pig waste a year, it only takes a small pipeline to the surface or down into the aquifer. I think the export management plan is not well thought out. I think it is actually potentially dangerous, and for those reasons, I would ask that you decline this permit for this facility.
Okay, that's the last thing on the list that was provided to me. And before I open this up to the attendees on our Zoom meeting, are there any other individuals who would like to present oral comments at this time? We have one up here, ma'am, please. Sir, if you want to come down here as well. Yeah, or if anyone wants to present comments, please come down to the front row.
Good evening, my name is Kendra Steele. My address is 509 Argyle Avenue, Minneapolis, Kansas, 60467. I'm a lifelong resident of Minneapolis, Kansas. I was born here, raised here, I work here, and I now raise my young family here. I ask that you deny this request in the proposed location. As others have pointed out, there is very little oversight and almost no accountability for testing or control of water after it leaves its facility. As Mr. Van Doren pointed out earlier, the ground beneath our feet is unstable and unpredictable here because of the sedimentary makeup. Because of this, once the water has left the facility, it is almost assured that there will be contamination. And it won't be Mr. Schwartz that deals with the consequences for it. It will be our community, our families. Mr. Schwartz says that there is no better place in the country than here because hog farming has already destroyed the state lakes and rivers of Minnesota and its neighboring state of Iowa. Now, they want to bring that here with our communities and our families and our water that we depend on. Please deny this request. Thank you.
Can you hear me? My name is Daniel Oppenheim, 410 East 4th Street, Minneapolis, Kansas.
Mr. So repeat your last name.
Oppenheim. I didn't prepare anything today, so just kind of waiting to see. So I hope you bear with me. I hope it comes out okay. Going back to 1899, my grandfather, his name was Joseph. He was a teacher, school, very similar to this one. 1899, probably a little bit. And he was trying to get farmers back into the classroom. He couldn't because they were all having to work in fields. So what he did is he invented farmer board. So he invented the manure spreader. He invented the board picker. Created a company in Ohio, it's called Lehman, Ohio, called New Idea Spreaders. And by about 1916, they broke, I think, their first million pack. And they were producing about 125 spreader works per shift. And they helped a lot of people come in from the farms so that the kids could get educated. He wanted to change the world. And that was what his intention was. He was trying to make the world better. And he did that. But this proposal is a horrific idea for this community, for a lot of reasons. The environmental impacts that it have on it, smell that it brings into this community. Now, I'm from Colorado. In Colorado, I grew up in a place called Cherry Hills. It's about 4 miles south of there. We got a place called Brigham, about 65 miles north of the city. And up there, when we get a north wind, 65 miles away, it smells horrific. Now, this proposal is 5 miles. Imagine what it's going to smell like. These kids that are going to be coming into this classroom are going to be smelling it. People in the community are going to be smelling it. And that's not even mentioning agricultural and the environmental issues. My wife has 3 degrees. One of them is in environmental science. She couldn't be here today. She was like, this is a horrific idea. And she was educated at the University of Kansas. She opposes it. I oppose it. Everyone in this community should be opposing this. This is a bad idea. If you approve this, people aren't going to want to live in this community. I won't want to live in this community. I've been here 3 years, and I won't be considering putting my house up for sale going somewhere else. Because I know 5 years down the road, 3 years down the road, there's going to be things coming into the water supply, you're going to be breathing this, you're not going to like this sort of thing. It's not worth the few jobs that they supply. So I vote to turn this proposal down. Thank you.
My name is David Crossan. My address is 2082 Delphos, 67436. If I could look out here at the audience. Our family is a family that is looking to sell the land and put a small farm. I want to ditto Mark Henry's comments and his wife Dave with regards to the Schwartzes. They're very professional, very organized, very thorough. I think they'd be a great addition to our community. My family came here in 1871, homesteaded. We've been here, my kids are the 5th generation, they're the 6th. 5 out of our 7 children live in Minneapolis community. We have 13 grandchildren and 3 more on the way. So I think it'd be obvious that I have no interest in ruining Ottawa County or the local community. I have nothing but support for it. Talk to merchants, we have charge accounts. They just about everything in town, and we pay those off monthly and support the local economy, even with our grocery dollars that are possibly cheaper than some land. We toured the Carrington facility. This isn't your dad's hog farm. It's very clean. I question whether the picture in Mr. O'Keefe's presentation was a Schwartz Farms, because when we toured the facility, that was a finishing facility, but it was immaculate. It was practically as clean as this gym, and that's not an exaggeration. It did not stink. We went half a mile north, did not smell a thing. We visited the farm at Longford yesterday, because we farm over there, a mile and a half from it. We went 400 yards before we could smell anything from the hog farm. My son has taken injectable slurry out of the dunes from the Henry family in the past that went on the fields nicely, raised good crops. And I want to talk about some of the positives real quick. Tax revenue, that got posted on Facebook today. I think that's probably about right from what I would calculate. I talked to Stuart County assessor. He said if Schwartz came in, it was in that ballpark, they would have about 8% of the taxable base in Ottawa County, and they'd automatically be the highest individual taxpayer in the county times 5. The next closest being Delphos Co-op. So it will provide it. The school system's worried about money. If you grew up here, you look at our downtown, you look at our area, we're in decline. That is due to no reason other than people like to go to swine. Schwartz is bringing in 30 jobs. Those jobs provide $2.3 million in revenue. That figures out to about 75,000 per person. I know that's not across the board. There's definitely more higher paid people. If you capture 10% of that 2.3 million, that's 230,000. When I was in the bank, a dollar circulated 7 times in the community. 7 times 230,000 is pretty much $1.5 million. Thank you for your time. Obviously, I'm supportive.
I am here to request that you deny the permit. I am a 5th generation Ottawa County
not want you here to come and contaminate our water and our air for a few dollars. Our ancestors did not come here for this. Our ancestors did not come here to fight for everything they have for future generations, for you to contaminate it, for a few more warm bodies, a few more jobs, and a few more dollars. You are accountable and you know who you are. We do not want you to go home. I'm Rachel Larson, and I am an 1837 Highlands. It's Salina, Kansas, but I am a lifelong Ottawa County resident.
Thank you. Tyrell Owens, T-Y-R-E-L, 701 Delia Avenue, Minneapolis, Kansas. I am not originally from here, so I've lived here the last 20 years. Worked in one of those smelly places called feedlot. I have 20 years of experience. Spent 2 years going and collecting soil samples and lagoon water samples for a soil testing company. So I have absolutely zero worries about KDHE, about Schwartz's following the existing regulations. Stuff is tested, stuff is regulated. If there are things you don't like about the regulations, this is not the forum for it. I would encourage you, it's private business, private money. They're not asking anything for us as taxpayers. So I have absolutely no problem with support even a permit. This is the process that it is. So I have absolutely full faith that KDHE, like I said, Schwartz's, are going to follow the current regulations that they are. They'll report their water use, report their wastewater use. Everything gets reported. Every drop of rain that's going to fall on Schwartz's is going to get reported. Every pound of manure that goes off the place is going to get reported. Again, I am supportive of the application. This is the United States of America. Private property, private business. Get it done. Okay, anyone else before we turn it over to the Zoom? If you do want to present comments yet, please come down to the front row, please.
Is that working? Okay. I'm Michelle Walmsley. My address is 615 North Cross Way, Minneapolis, Kansas. And I would just like to point out that even if they follow all of the best regulations, we know as a community, every person here knows that contaminations happen because it's happened before. And also, I do not necessarily agree with the sentiment that we elect our officials and then we don't get involved moving forward. We do get involved. That's what we should do as patriots of our country and of our communities. We should speak up. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you to you guys for allowing us the opportunity to speak, but also thank you for all of the people who are either for or against showing up and speaking their minds on behalf of the good of their community. Thank you.
Thank you. I was informed that there's no one on the Zoom that wants to present comments. Is that correct, Rachel? Okay, this will be the last call for any presentation. Okay. Seeing none, this concludes the public comment portion of the hearing. All comments received tonight regarding technical, statutory, regulatory, or environmental issues related to the proposed permit, as well as comments submitted to the department during the public comment period, will be addressed by staff in a responsiveness summary, which will include staff recommendations regarding the issues raised. The responsiveness summary will be directed to Secretary Standing for review and consideration. The Secretary will then render a decision on the proposed permit. Those individuals participating at this hearing or those submitting written comments to KDHE for consideration will be notified of the Secretary's decision. Secretary Standing and I wish to thank you for participating in this hearing and providing input. And I am going to extend the public comment period until 9 p.m. tonight, July 9, 2025. Again, the public comment period can be provided via email to kdhe.feedlots@ks.gov. You have until 9 o'clock for those comments to be considered. For the record, the time is now 7:31 p.m. and this hearing is